I'm Herbie the Cabin Boy. You're listening to Ship Shape and Bristol Fashion.
Ship Shape and Bristol Fashion boys along the harbour side. From Avon Gorge to Underfall, we'll heave and haul the line. Secure the barrels down below, bind them, tie and lash 'em. This vessel, she is certified Ship Shape and Bristol Fashion.
Ahoy there, and welcome to Shipshape and Bristol Fashion. I'm Oggy, and I am so pleased that you could join us for another month's edition of the work of the Port of Bristol Shanty crew. And that's what this podcast is all about. We have fun every single month, and this podcast just brings it all together to celebrate the great work that we get up to. I hope you guys are well. We are now in autumn. The nights are drawing in. It certainly is getting a little bit colder, and there has been so much rain. However, I hope you guys are staying safe and, of course, most importantly, finding some way of getting out there and listening to us, the Port of Bristol Shanty crew. A big shout out to our Facebook community. It's a great place to find out what we were up to and interact with us. And if you're not part of that yet, then pop over to Facebook, give us a search, and then click to join our little community. Just fill in some questions just to ensure that you are going to behave within the community, and then come along and, of course, take part and interact with us. We'd love to see you there, and it's a great way of getting absolutely up-to-date live information and current event of the Port of Bristol Shanty crew. So on this month's episode, we've got a fantastic interview with Old Bill, so we'll pop down to the crew room and talk to him. And he'll also talk to us about our youngest, smallest member of the crew, Herbie the Cabin Boy. We've also got some great audio from the Bristol Shanty Festival that actually features Chili's first public event where he's leading a song, so you're gonna look forward to that. But first and foremost, we're going to pop down to the Signaller, who once again is voiced by our wonderful crewmate called Ash, who will tell us what we've been up to and what to look forward to and how to find us in the future.
So it's yo-ho from me, the Signaller, bringing you all of the news of the gigs that have happened during the last month, and more importantly, the gigs that are coming up for the Shanty crew. So in September, we managed to complete, I think, 3 gigs. The first one was at the Star Inn at Wootton Under Edge, their beer festival. And it's a lovely little festival. A half a dozen shanty bands, a chance to meet some of our old friends, to have a sing, to sink a pint or two. It's the second year we've been to the festival, and it's really enjoyable, and I'm sure we will go back again and support them. It's definitely one for our calendar. The next gig we did was a private one for the lovely ladies at the French Women's Institute. They are such an appreciative audience, and they're very generous. And perhaps even more importantly, they do produce and share some lovely, lovely cakes with us. I think the first choice of refreshment for the crew at Shanty Sings is probably a beer or two. But the cake and tea and coffee that we had with the WI is a very close second. One of the ladies there was very taken with our very own Chuffer and his rumbly, sexy bass voice. And the skipper attracted quite a lot of attention when they found out that he was the only single man amongst the crew. And he had a little group of them chatting to him, which I think he quite liked as well. Without doubt, the highlight of our month has been the Bristol Shanty Festival. What an event. Due to some other commitments that the crew had during the daytime, we could only really do evening gigs. And we had 2 of them, one at the Underfall Yard and the other one on the Balmoral. The Underfall yard was early evening, and we quickly realised that doing gigs a bit later in the day is such a bonus, because it seemed like people were very relaxed, very happy, probably quite well lubricated, if I'm honest. And the gig at the Underfall was really, really good. Lots of joining in, lots of very, very positive response, and we all really joined it with a crew of about 10. Now, unfortunately, you won't know this, but some of our crew are werewolves, and after 9 o'clock, they turned back into very hairy dogs, and so it meant that not all of the 10 could make the Balmoral later at 10 o'clock in the evening. So a bit of a skeleton crew of 5 turned up at the Balmoral. And as it turned out, the reception at the Balmoral for the 5 of them was even better than the one down at the Underfall. Rapturous applause, lots of joining in, lots of requests, and I think the crew had to drag themselves off of the stage after an hour. So a really good month of gigs. A couple of other things happened in the month as well. We got a shout out on Radio Bristol, which is nice, from a lovely lady called Claire Carter, whose show was celebrating its first birthday. And we came across Claire at the Bath and West show when she interviewed all of us, and she played as a memory the tape from that day, and that was lovely. She was a bit scared by us, I think she was a bit worried we might swear, but we didn't, of course. We're all too polite for that. One of the other things that did happen in the month, which did leave a bit of a sour taste, is the realisation that for a gig we did a couple of months ago, which was a wedding, we're struggling and haven't got the payment for it, and it seems like it's not going to happen, which is quite frustrating when the crew travelled a reasonable distance to play for these lovely people who seem to really enjoy us at their wedding. But they're not so lovely when it came to handing the money over, and that's really disappointing.
Ahoy there, it's Future Oggy here. Just to let you know, there's been an update, and the happy couple has managed to finally pay us. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for all of our super fans that have been clearly heard our concern and our worries that we were unable to get this money from the happy couple, and did a little bit of pressure on social media, and we are very grateful for the super fans and the community that support us to enable them to realise that paying us is a good thing. So thank you very much, and I promise you that the money is gone to an incredible cause that, of course, is the Teenage Cancer Trust. Let's get back to the podcast.
On a brighter note, we're moving into another month, and actually October is going to be quite a quiet month. We only have one gig, which is a private one, but it does mean there's lots more time for the crew to get together at rehearsals and to concentrate a lot more on some new songs that we've got coming up. And there are at least half a dozen that we're working on, which we're all quite excited about. So whilst we're not doing anything particularly public in October, we will be working hard behind the scenes. So lots of news from the Signaller. I will leave you now with the rest of the podcast, and it's me, the Signaller, casting off.
Thank you, Ash. Great news there. So, on the 21st of September 2024, the Port of Bristol Shanty crew was invited, like many other crews that are around Bristol and in Bristol, to come along and take part in a wonderful event called the Bristol Shanty Festival. And here is some audio that we captured of our sets that I'm hoping you'll enjoy. And like I said before, listen out for Chili, because this is his first public event leading a song.
See the Bristol town loaded down, the brandy-o. Down from the Bristol city dock, by Hopwells and the Cumberland Lock, down the reach in the harbour side, safe and sound from the Severn tide. Oh, see the Bristol town loaded down, the brandy-o. But
Now I've joined the Navy, I'm aboard a man of war. And now I find a sailor ain't a sailor anymore. Don't haul on the rope, don't climb up the mast. If you see a sailing ship, it might be a lass. Just get your sailors ready for another run ashore. A sailor ain't a sailor, ain't a sailor anymore.
There's been 10 of us, but, you know, we've had an overwhelming surge of demand from other people to join this really cool shanty crew, and we've been fighting them off with a shitty stick, but 2 people passed the audition and have been promoted to become members of our shanty crew, and I'm delighted to introduce to you Chili. Hello. Now, some of you may recognise him because he is a police custody sergeant. So if you have met him, then you are probably on the proverbial naughty step. But nevertheless, he's very, very enthusiastic about singing for us. He's only been with us a couple of weeks, but he's rehearsed a song and he's desperate to sing it for you. So over to Chili Bill.
I thought I heard the captain say,
Pay me my money down.
tomorrow is our sailing day.
Pay me my money down.
Pay me,
Pay me.
pay me,
Pay me.
pay me my money down. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my money down. As soon as the boat had passed the bar,
Pay me my money down.
the captain hit me down with a spar.
Pay me my money down.
Pay me,
Pay me.
pay me,
Pay me.
pay me my money down. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my money down.
Sail for the old Cape Fair. Ah, come and get your ropes, my son. Whip, jamboree, whip, jamboree. Oh, big sail, sailorman, coming up behind. Whip, jamboree, whip, jamboree. Oh, come and get your ropes, my son.
Below Cape Horn,
Won't you ride the wind and the white seabird? Won't you ride the wind and go molly home? Out on the southern ocean sailing, down below Cape Horn.
He's the ghost of a sailor man, as I've heard say, whose body sank and his soul flew away. So he's got no heaven and he's got no home, and he's bound evermore for the wheel and roam.
Honey, 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 honey. Next verse has got a special effects department, see if you can get it. I went to call on my best girl. Her bulldog flew at me. Listen up, stop it. And bit me by the old back porch. Right near my maple tree. And she said, Little eyes, I love you, honey. Little eyes, I love you. I love you in the springtime and the honey, 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 honey. Little eyes, I love you, honey. Little eyes, I love you. I love you the best of honey, 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 honey. It was not you that I did see behind the garden wall. It was my wife looking at me. She is so big and tall, and she said, Little eyes, I love you, honey. Little eyes, I love you. I love you in the springtime and the honey, 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 honey. Little eyes, I love you, honey. Little eyes, I love you. I love you the best of honey, 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 honey. Thank you very much.
Well, guys, you sounded amazing. I certainly am so proud to be singing with you. And Chili, well done. What a voice. So, next up, we're going to pop down to the crew room and talk to Old Bill.
So I'm in the crew room now, and I'm really pleased to welcome Old Bill. Welcome to Shipshape and Bristol Fashion. How are you?
Hi, fine, thanks, Augie. Yeah,
Good. Well, it's
really. After a good weekend, the start went under edge on Sunday. Yeah, that was a really good set and very enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. We are recording this in September, and we've had a bit of a busy weekend and a great set. But it's been great, a great summer, and formally welcome to Shipshape and Bristol Fashion. We've obviously heard you on the podcast before when the doc has done some interviews with you, and you're a regular face within the crew. But one thing I'd just like to ask you, as I always ask everybody, is how come you got yourself into shanty? What is your backstory, and how did you get into this amazing crew?
I think I was shanghaied. I was very, very similar to Ash, really. I was at a certain private dinner.
Yeah.
And we'd had a really good meal and with a glass of wine, different wine with each of the 8 courses.
Oh,
and
8
quite a
courses.
bit of sport. And then 2 or 3 of the crew, as it was then, started standing up and singing. And suddenly I was back to my post rugby playing days, where I think the only time I ever sang is after I'd had a couple of beers after the rugby game. And I started joining, and the Rev collared me and said, "You've got a voice. You can join the crew." And he made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
And you're still here.
I still
2 years.
thoroughly enjoying it. Probably one of the best things I've ever undertaken. Well, since playing rugby and cricket, and having kids and getting married and all the rest of it.
I know, there's a long list.
It is, the camaraderie in the crew is just amazing.
Really good. So once again, a good way to get into this crew is to at least appreciate a good glass of red wine, cider, beer, rum, anything alcoholic, I think.
Yeah, so yeah, it didn't do me too well when we were down at Falmouth, because after 2 gigs down there and drinking a few beers, I actually lost my voice for 2 weeks.
Yeah, the listeners heard you.
Saturday and Sunday, I had to mime because I looked like I sounded like Telly Savalas on steroids.
You probably have had the most unfortunate component. I know Art has had his joint replaced in the time that he's been within the crew, but I think you got hit the worst by losing your voice.
Yes, I think my wife was rather pleased, actually, but then again, it did make communicating very difficult, because it was very, very husky and very quiet. It was a virus. It wasn't from over singing, but hey.
But it certainly does strain the vocal cords, doesn't it? I mean, that singing for a long period of time, and especially like Falmouth, which you've got several gigs, one which is very similar to a gig that we've coming up shortly with the Bristol Shanty Festival, that it can exhaust the throat and you can strain it.
Yeah, I guess we're also was enemies, aren't we? Shanty singing, you always sing with a bit of vigour.
Yes,
and it certainly helps when you got a mic. But when you haven't got a mic, you tend to raise your voice. It does put a strain, and I guess, yeah, the truth is that warming your voice up properly doesn't include drinking a couple of pints of beer. I think, I don't think any of us vocally train our voices. Probably what makes us so popular.
But we sound amazing, and I'm saying that myself. I've listened to you, and of course now I'm honoured to be part of the crew, and we do sound great. And I'm really pleased and honoured to be with you all. But yeah, no, so great. So your journey into the crew predominantly includes just being nabbed by the Rev. You've shown that you've got a voice, and you have been a regular, stable voice within the crew, and quite a character, which is always well appreciated, I think, not only by the audience, by the crew itself. You always, I think, provide a calming influence, and when we're having a few moments where we're trying to work out what to do, you just come in and say, hey, let's just get on with it.
Yes, well, it's probably my background, but nickname of Old Bill, you can imagine what I used to be, and that's what happens when you're an accountant.
Yeah. So is it true? Were you an accountant or did you print money? What was your old job?
Absolutely not. and it's great. It's great to have Chili on board because I used to work with Chili as well.
Yeah. So listeners, if you haven't quite caught up with it, the old Bill is an ex-copper, and of course the interview with Chili will come at some point. And of course he's an ex-copper too. So we're well protected and reinforced within the crew by having policemen retired.
Yeah, I think our time in the police was more life on Mars days rather than the present life.
I thought it was Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, bless. Well, yeah, I guess that commanding, calming performer, the Mina that you had within your workplace, we see it within the crew, and you are, fantastic for that. The crew obviously have dedicated songs that they like to sing, and if the listeners are trying to work out which are the ones that you sing, what songs normally have your name on it?
Taking a couple on board. Well, I guess the first solo I took on board was Wild Rover, and that really, really did take me back to my post-rugby days.
Yes.
That's probably the only one I could sing and I knew all the words for.
Oh.
But I've taken on a number since. Wellerman, I love singing the Wellerman. It's got a lovely beat, a good time. It's one that the audience enjoy as well. And there's a couple of others, Nova Scotia, which is a pretty sad song. But then again, I think a lot of sea shanties is either about being drunk or dying at sea.
Yeah.
But, and there's another beautiful song called Sail Away, which I enjoy performing as well. So I'm learning one or two. Yeah. I'm learning one or two at the moment, yeah.
You play your hand to a few of them, which is great. But, I think Well of the Man is a great song. They can recognise it from a time where we're all probably felt a little bit vulnerable around the COVID time. We know that hit the charts. And
Nathan Evans made it very popular on TikTok. Yeah,
and he's done very well, hasn't he? He's got a few songs out there, a few shanty albums.
He's done all right out of it.
I think he has, and clearly you are as well, because everybody joins in with your song, which is good. Yeah. It's fantastic. Well, it's really good, and I think you're right. Within the crew, we've got a few songs that we like, but also playing your hand to a few to do backup support as well. Because I think you've been thrown in the deep end a few times.
I back up the Rev with Pill, saying that one was sprung on me with about 20 seconds notice when we were doing the Valley Fest.
Yes,
Doc set me up on that one, but
oh my days!
And 20 seconds notice, suddenly remember. One, what is the tune, and two, what are the words?
Yeah. Digging deep with the brain there to find those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, bless you. Well, I think one important bit to obviously reflect on with you being part of the crew is, of course, you bring a little one with you, which is kind of the extension of the crew, the smallest of the crew, but probably has the most presence than them all. So tell us, who is this littlest member of the crew?
That is my grandson, Herbie, who is amazing. And he was 4 at the time. We were singing down at Western Supermare at the festival August before last, and we were sitting and on the main stage. And his parents brought him down along with his older brother, and he basically said, "I want to come up and sing." And he literally ran. He came up onto the stage and. He knew the words to South Australia from listening to us previously. His brother wouldn't go anywhere near the stage, but he just considers himself one of the crew. And I know he's now got his own Bristol sweatshirt, T-shirt, and he's got his own cap with his own cap badges, which he's very proud of. And he just loves taking part, and he picks the words up so quickly. Yeah, previously he used to stand in front of us and just sing along. He's becoming a bit of a young diva now because he's insisted on having his own mic. And we were at one gig and we gave him the mic, and after the first song, he looked around and said, "Well, where's the lead? It's not plugged in."
Oh,
and this was age 5.
He's a great character, isn't he? And Herbie the Cabin Boy, he just really he adds so much to the crew, and the audience love him. Of course, they do.
Yeah, he had to do a presentation at school last year. He's in year 1. And he ended up doing a sort of a PowerPoint for a 5-minute PowerPoint talking about the sea shanties, and he ended up singing to his class in sea shanties. And he had to write what he actually enjoys and basically what his hobbies were. And he basically said, my hobby is singing with the Port Bristol Shanty Crew. And
Wow, that is
Yeah.
so lovely.
So he just loves it. And if he knows we're singing during the day, yeah, he's gutted that he can't come to the evening songs.
Yeah.
It's quite amusing. His favourite song, he loves South Australia, but he loves Bully in the Alley. But I'm not sure he knows what Bully in the Alley means yet.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I'm hoping that he just remembers the words as they are and not what the meaning is. Because there's some risky words.
We sang it to Page Park, and his little sister, who's only just 2 now, came along. And she went home, and the mum recorded her singing Bully in the Alley as well. And I'm sure she's got no idea what Bully in the Alley means, but it's obviously a catchy tune.
It obviously is. Oh, look at that. We are educating the next generation of shanty singers.
Well, yeah. She comes down, and I have to whisper it because she's in the background, but she says, Alexa, play Bully in the Alley. So that the recording devices as well.
Yeah, well, of course. Well, we all know, and of course, this podcast you can actually listen to on A as well. So you know, we're everywhere, aren't we? Which is fantastic. Yeah. Oh, bless. Oh, that's really good. And of course, as long as he wants to still continue, he will continue to be Herbie the Cabin Boy. I don't know if he's still going to be there when he's 14, 15, 16. But
I think the first time we were singing it, a retirement village in Stoke Gifford with Herbie, and he came along, and he basically had the treasure chest. He was going around and collect the money with my wife, because obviously raising money for Teenage Cancer Trust.
Yeah.
But no, he insisted in coming up and singing with us. And then he went round, and he does boost our collection with his blonde hair and his blue eyes.
It's a little secret weapon.
Yes, definitely the secret weapon for raising funds.
And let's talk about his props, because evidently I've only joined to be properly really aware of this in the last few months. But he clearly comes to the crew to sing, and especially Pirate. He has all the props.
Oh, yeah, he's got all the props, and he becomes very animated. If you see his face, especially when the what's-its cut off him, he places his hands over his what's-it, and he screws his face. Yes, he's hilarious. He gets more of a laugh than we do, that is for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, bless him. In fact, he's got his own bit on the website. So, guys, if you're listening now, go to pobshantycrew.co.uk, and you'll actually see Herbie's page, which is fantastic, and you'll see him in all his glory, which is a great thing for us to do for him as he gets bigger and older and recognises the great time. And I guess it's memory making.
One of our crew followers, Dana, who lives in Castle Rock in Colorado.
Yeah.
She was on the Zoom call, and Herbie was there, and she said to Herbie, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you want to be a shanty singer? And he said, well, I'm already one of those.
Yeah. When's his first solo then? I have to work out when
yeah, try it. You wouldn't think he was shy with the way he stands up and sings in front of us, but ask him to. But fair play, he did sing a part of a shanty to his own classmates. But
yeah, that's good.
I said to Herbie, you're coming on a podcast. He said no.
No, I know. Listeners, I tried to get him on the podcast. I think it would be
that was a definite no.
a granddad and grandson thing, but it was never going to happen. It would have been very poor for you listeners, because he wasn't going to say anything. So we thought we'd just talk about him. And of course, as we do, look after each other. We clearly came to a special wedding in your family as the Shanty Crew, and that was a bit of a surprise for you, wasn't it? Tell us a little about that.
It was. That was my third daughter, third wedding, and it was down near Yeovil, and it was the Rev officiated during the wedding, which made it very, very special at Bripton House. And we were upstairs having the wedding breakfast afterwards and completing the speeches. And I should have guessed something was on because I was sort of held back and people kept asking me questions. So when we came downstairs, as I was coming down the stairs, they started singing South Australia because they turned up by surprise, which my daughter Esther had secretly arranged. And of course, they had my hat waiting for me, so I had to join in. But the funniest thing was after we were 3/4 of the way through the first song, and Herbie came bursting in and said, "They started without me."
He's a right diva, isn't he?
Oh, he is a diva, definitely a diva. Follows after his mum like that.
Oh, that's on record now. Of course, all of this fun and all of this excitement that happens is so good for us as gentlemen getting together to talk and sing together. But of course, there is a serious component, and that is raising a bit of money for an incredible charity.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And yeah, we've also heard the stories. I don't personally know Harry, but the Rovers certainly talked about the support that the Teenage Cancer Trust have given to Harry and his family, which is absolutely amazing. And the work that they do for other teenagers that need it. I'm just pleased to be part of the crew raising money for such a marvelous charity. You know, especially it's tied at the moment where times are hard and people are being so generous with donating, because long may that continue. Yeah,
definitely. And I think we're so lucky to be able to open up Shanty to the world and raise money and just drip feed money into the Teenage Cancer Trust to enable them to do their work, not just locally, not just to Harry, but also across the UK. And you know,
and the good thing about it is, if we enjoy, even if the audience don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. As they say, singing is really good for your mental health, and you always feel great after having a good sing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I would absolutely support that. You know, since joining the crew, it's been great to be part of that. And it really does help. It really does help. Well, Bill, it's been fantastic to talk to you. Clearly, this won't be the last time that we get you on the podcast, because there's plenty more other opportunities that I'd like to talk to you and the crew, and of course we'll be recording some of your songs that you regularly sing within the crew. But it's been a privilege and a pleasure to talk to you. So I'm going to leave you to your drink within this beautiful place that is the crew room within the port of Bristol Shanty Cruise, Shipshape and Bristol Fashion podcast, and we'll talk again soon.
Absolute pleasure, Augie.
Thank you very much. You take care.
Take care, everyone.
Well, that's it for another month's episode of Shipshape and Bristol Fashion. I hope you enjoyed it, and like I've said before, if you like what you've heard, then please do share this podcast with your friends, with your family, or people who just love sea shanty, because they might just actually appreciate listening to us as the crew. Of course, if you are on a podcast platform, then please do click that share and share it with people. Of course, if you're listening to this on the website, then of course just share the website to them. Of course, that is pobshantycrew.co.uk/podcast. But if you are listening on the website and you're thinking, well, how can I listen to this on my phone, or in fact listen on your own, let's say Alexa, can't say it too loud, of course, but you can listen to us on those platforms, absolutely. So please do search on your phone and subscribe, because if you do subscribe, you'll of course get all the up-to-date podcast episodes as they land every 5th of the month. So that is it. Like I said, thank you for listening, and fair winds and following seas, and see you next month.
Shipshape and Bristol fashion boys along the harbour side, from Even Gorge to Underford.